The Supreme Court on the Thursday allowed the President Donald Trump's administration to enforce a policy blocking the transgender and the non-binary people from choosing the passport sex markers that align with their gender identity. The decision by the conservative majority court is the Donald Trump's latest win on the High Court's emergency docket, and it also means that his administration can enforce the policy while a lawsuit over it plays out. It also halts a lower court order requiring the government to keep letting the people choose male, female, or the X on their passport to line up with their gender identity on the new or renewed passports. The court's three liberal justices also dissented. In a brief, unsigned order, the court said that the policy doesn't appear to discriminate against the transgender people, displaying the passport holder's sex at birth no more offends equal protection principles than displaying their country of birth, it said. In both cases, the government is merely attesting to a historical fact without subjecting anyone to a differential treatment. The court's three liberal justices disagreed, saying in a dissent that the passport listing only a gender at the birthmark transgender people make it vulnerable to the increased violence, harassment, and discrimination. The court has once again paved the way for the immediate infliction of injury without adequate or really any justification. This is what Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote, saying that the policy stemmed directly from the Donald Trump executive order that described the transgender identity as false and corrosive. The State Department changed its passport rules after Trump, a Republican, handed down an executive order in the January declaring the United States would recognize two sexes, male and female, based on the birth certificates and biological classification. The transgender actor Hunter Schafer, for example, said in the February that her new passport had been issued with a male gender marker, even though she'd marked female on her driver license and the passport for years. The plaintiffs argue that the passport limited to the sex listed on a birth certificate can spark harassment or even violence for the transgender people. By classifying people based on sex assigned at birth and exclusively issuing the sex markers on the passport based on that sex classification, the State Department deprives the plaintiffs of a usable identification document and the ability to travel safely that the attorneys wrote in the court documents. The sex markers began appearing on the passports in the mid-1970s, and the federal government started allowing them to be changed with the medical documentation in the early 1990s, the plaintiff said in the court documents. A 2021 change under the President Joe Biden, a Democrat, removed the documentation requirements and allowed the non-binary people to choose an X gender marker after years of litigation.